It's the 25th of August 2025. Here I was, gone. I'm Dana. I hope you're doing well. That's Neptunium-239 dispersal covering the entire planet after 20 days. And this is a story of, we covered it a little bit last night. 2 years since the start of the treated water release, Fukushima monitoring shows no abnormality in the ocean. And we're gonna come back to that 1 second. So, this is radioactive fall of Neptunium-239, based on 20 days to your left, 21 to your right. And this is reactor 3, had lost its entire inventories. We have an absurd amount of documentation of Fukushima and the radioactive fallout. It's absurd how much we have. On day 4, you had 4 reactors and 8 fuel pools detonate. By day 4, I should say. And we're seeing all the species now showing up severely emaciated. And so James actually put together a song. He just posted it. We're going to play it right now because I just got in the door 35 minutes ago. And we were to a national or a provincial park. No insects, no birds, no animals, no nothing. Total silence. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We got a bunch of pictures of recent research expeditions of gannets and puffins to get back to. We got recent headlines we're going to jump into right away. We're going to play that song right now, and then I'll be back. It's a short song. And it's acknowledgement, it's and I'm going to have the words on the screen this time for you. But we're talking about suggesting that nothing came out and everything is hunky-dory. And clearly everything is not hunky-dory. We'll see you guys back here in a minute. It's a great song. Hang around.
Isotopes logged in for your cause. Recent fission products from breached halls. Feed and bleed until the tanks overflow. Water pumped down to the ocean it goes. Inspectors wrote it. Transcripts say no zero release strategy today. And still the headlines sing their line. Monitored safe, no radioactive sign. No abnormalities detected. Raise the glass, declare it clean. No abnormalities detected. Dress the fallout as routine. No abnormalities detected. Say it twice, the press believes. No abnormalities detected. While the Pacific grieves. Whales beach lean, no fat to spare. Snow crabs vanish, nets come bare. Radioactive shrimp at port, but the story stalls in a clipped report. Plankton counts unmeasured still. Base of the chain in a documented chill. Every loss explained away. Red tide currents, anything but decay. contained, unknown isotopic distribution. Water accumulating, it has to go somewhere, it's going to.
It's crazy, right? He nailed it. Nothing got out, everything's best kind. Everybody go back to sleep. We're the International Atomic Energy Agency, we're TEPCO, we're the nuclear industry. You can trust us. That's what the message is from the industry, right? They overwhelm you with the media, and people can't make a rational decision. Because we're late tonight, we're not going to play all that song, unfortunately. I'm just going to get after it because... And that was the story he has linked below it. 2 years since the start of the treated water release. Shows no abnormalities. And you can find that at James Luce's site on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description for you. I hope you're doing well, everybody. I'll put a link in there for you in a second. I'm going to start off this story, but then we're going to do the recent stories from the last couple of weeks of die-offs. Oh, the transcript was pretty accurate. That's cool, man. I was wondering about that. I was listening to it, but I've only been home. We went over. I'll just put a link into James's site, and you'll see him in the comments section with the yellow. Nothing detected. I'll just put that up there for a second. So you can click on his and go over to his site, or maybe you'll have to click on that if you're watching this later. And you can go to channel, right? But I put a link in it for you, so you can just click on that, and that'll take you right over to his channel, which is right here. And so the song we were listening to, No Abnormality Detected, was that song. Another highly recommended one is this one, The Strandings of the Flirt of the Whales. This is an extraordinary video, by the way. And he does all the music, he does all the video, all the graphics and everything else. All right, here we go. So we actually, I was on a dirt road. It was 23 kilometers. It was 24 kilometers. It's supposed to be a shortcut. It's supposed to save me 70 kilometers. And the most you can drive on it was 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 kilometers an hour because it was a washboard. Typically, a washboard dirt road will last about a kilometer maybe. This was 18 kilometers. Literally just beat the daylights out of me. No birds, no insects, never seen... well, we did see, I think seen a total all day in 7 hours, I should say, was nine little birds. We were deep in the woods. There's a provincial park, the Cataract Provincial Park, I believe was the name of it. So it was extraordinary not to see some. Fish catches in Japan's water have plunged in recent years, post-Fukushima. Big surprise. Wow, wow, wow. The catch volume hit a record low in 2020 for the second consecutive year. So the poll tonight, is nuclear power just another word for an extinction level event? It is, unfortunately, because the fuel pools are always hemorrhaging radiation. You don't need meltdowns to eventually end up with an extinction event. You just need fuel pools with no containment. And there's 1,000 fuel pools worldwide hemorrhaging radiation. Lowest record hit a record low in 2020 for the second consecutive years. Well, it was more than that. Global warming and other factors. You know, nuclear explosions, radioactive fallout covering the whole planet in less than 30 days, breaking the food chain, killing the phytoplankton, the bases of the food chain, the oxygen chain, the carbon sequestering chain. On some days, more than half of the fish caught in my net are already dead. It's a natural disaster, said. Now, he's up in Hokkaido, which is the most northerly island in Japan, by the way, up by China. A red tide commonly occurs in warmer waters. However, the Hokkaido outbreak involved toxic plankton. And they're toxic in a whole different way because of a radioactive fallout. For the first time, they can survive even in the nation's cooler waters. We never expected this could happen, Fisher's researchers are saying, from Japan. Several causes suggested for the sharp decline. One leading theory is rising ocean temperatures caused by radioactive fallout for 80 years and a pulse event from Japan. I mean, global warming is the same thing, right? 80 years of emissions is global warming. Think of an invisible snowstorm covering your planet for 80 years. 80 years, 8 decades. And every snowflake, instead of a snowflake, it's an anthropogenic man-made atom, that's pulsing energy almost at the speed of light, up to 600 feet every second each. Imagine that for 80 years, what that's going to do to your ecosystem. It wrecks everything with replicating cells. And we're seeing a lot of connotations of changes in ocean currents, which is all of this is post-Fukushima. So the marine heat wave is just a massive plume in the Pacific Ocean of radioactive fallout. That's what the marine heat wave is. It's the Fukushima Plume. It's not a heat wave. It's not a blob. It's a death machine. Japan has set us on a catastrophic decline now. Catches of pufferfish have soared off the nuclear wasteland, Fukushima Prefecture. So moves to these branches, local delicacies are under consideration, really. A local delicacy of food from just off the coast of a nuclear wasteland. Like, this is a desperation to try to brainwash. You can't get the other stuff, and so all they're getting is pufferfish, is basically what they're telling you. Report paints a grim picture of how nuclear war could impact the oceans. It's not nuclear war. We've already had nuclear war, right? It's called nuclear testing. That's a nuclear war. It's the same bombs, the same radioactive fallout, and there was a lot more used than there would have been in a nuclear war. So we've already had multiple nuclear wars. The Soviet Union's biggest bomb was 50 megatons, which is equal to 4,000 Nagasaki bombs going off at one time. If that's not a nuclear war, what is? That's a single bomb. And I love how they lied to you. Oh, there's around 2,000 bombs, nuclear weapons set off worldwide. One of them is equal to over 4,000 Nagasaki bombs, by the way. When you scale it up, it's equal to around 38,000 Nagasaki bombs when you go from megaton to the typical 14, 15 kiloton Nagasaki Hiroshima bombs comparison, right? And I mean, that's a pretty accurate comparison. That's accepted standard. What would a nuclear conflict do to the planet's environment today? Well, I can tell you one thing right now. Nuclear war will be nothing like Fukushima. Your universities are worthless for the most part. They're like the PhDs and the academics, their job is to lie to you. This is the French government's model of radioactive fallout. It mimics every other model worldwide during that period. This is based on 30 days. This is 20 days in. This is cesium-137, 1 million, 10 million atoms. So nuclear war is not going to have that particular attribute. Covers the whole planet. There's no other pollution on the planet that produces a depiction like this. So all the fresh water, all the seawater was immediately contaminated. This was July 22nd, 2025. This is a couple of stories we never got to from our last recent species die-off. And this is day 6 of species die-off presentations. And we're really dragging them in tonight with 7 viewers and 10 likes, 7 votes. The industry has so much contempt for me. It's just unbelievable that nobody else will talk about this subject. It's unbelievable that that there's silence worldwide. All the big shot bloggers and all the big shot mouthpieces out there are silent. All the alternative media is brutally silent. In fact, they're putting out Galen Windsor's videos, which was an employee at a nuclear plant who was convinced that radiation was harmless, was put on a pedestal, and they shot a few videos of him. He died of brutal cancers, by the way. And then people are still posting those videos saying nuclear is fake, radioactive fallout is fake, that you can eat it can't hurt you. There's a concerted effort to denigrate it and dilute the reality of it. We don't do that here at all. Orcas are attacking French sailors. No, they're not. They're attacking a boat. You worthless scum, whoever wrote that headline. If they're attacking a boat, they do a lot more damage, trust me. Dozens of whales with empty stomachs. Like, it's not just empty stomachs. For the whale to die, because that's the connotation, it died because it's hungry. They don't die of hunger, they die of, they go through all their muscle, they chew up all their body fat, all their blubber. So it takes many, many, many months. It's not like they skip a couple of dozen meals or a couple of meals and they die because their stomachs are empty. They don't die just because their stomachs are empty. They die because after months and months and months, they still couldn't find any nutrition or any food. And they might not be able to uptake the nutrition if they do find it, because they probably got at least 1,000 atoms in their body per kilogram. And so they're producing more white blood cells than red blood cells, more white than red. So they're not able to uptake nutrition. And we think that's a major issue too. Every year between September and October, the California gray whale, 13,000 well. That narrative goes from 12,000 to 13,000 mile migration route. They feed and mate and cough. And the Baja, California, New Mexico, they gulp down sand in their mouth and they filter out in small microscopic animals in the mud and seafloor sediment to eat, so very tiny animals. However, lately, the number of whales observed during the migration spectacle has been dwindling at a worrisome rate. There's 14,000 died post-Fukushima of the gray whales. It's not just gray whales, by the way. Well, NOAA called it an unusual mortality event, but NOAA has a big incentive because they're the government. The government's job is to protect the nuclear industry, which is what they've done after Fukushima happened, right? More than 690 gray whale strandings have documented from December 2018 to November, which means 6,900 died in that same period. In 2025, the strandings haven't stopped. All the gray whales on the migratory northerly run right now are emaciated. There was no babies survived last year, and they were all emaciated on the southerly run. So they're not going to be here next year or the year after. And we got one person on our show. That's all we got. One person viewing the show. Really? Everybody like, the hell with you, Dana? That's reassuring. At least we got one person on the show. That was probably me. I accidentally had a window open. You're welcome, Jackie. Thank you. Hello, everybody. All two of you. I know there's more than that out there. Every few days, a scientist is bamboozled by a whale carcass lying enrobed in the shoreline sand somewhere. Every few days. That's severe emaciation. You're looking at the back part of the whale. You can see the spinal column sticking straight up. It's swelled, like the body is swelled up, but you can see the back part of the whale has absolutely no blubber, no muscle. You can see the vertebrae sticking up. It's severely emaciation, very clearly. 80 whales were found dead in southern Baja lagoons. There was a story yesterday or the day before where he said there was only 14. And they were saying there was all kinds of lies in it. We're not going to get to it tonight, but it was actually 80 dead whales. There was around 80 born. The number of newborn calves was also found to be shrinking, which implied the whales were struggling to find their mates. No, it wasn't just finding their mates. It was they weren't healthy enough to have babies. Possible causes behind the whale stranding. It's anything but Fukushima, anything but radiation, anything but the nuclear emissions, anything but the truth. They're going to blame it on your tin cans, your pop bottles, your plastics. But this was a German study from a French-German institute based on 2013, 954 days of radiation in the Pacific Ocean. And that was based on an extraordinary flawed number. Investigation of most of the recent whale carcasses revealed they were suffering from malnutrition. That's another word and a cowardly word for starvation. It's a cowardly word for starvation. In the study, scientists examined 61 whale carcasses they had stumbled upon on the shoreline. The cause behind a major portion of the whales dying was starvation. You can't have a major portion of whales dying from starvation and then the rest of them were healthy. It doesn't work that way. They're all dying from starvation. They're all eating the same food. They're all traveling at the same time on a migratory route. They've been doing it millions of generations. Stranded whales this year have primarily been adults with evidence of malnutrition, loss of oil in the blubber layers, lack of internal fat stores, and no food in the stomach or intestines. That just about says it all. They'll be gone in another couple of years. Climate change is to blame. So they're making an assertion without telling you what climate change is. Climate change is 80 years of emissions from the nuclear industry, the dumping, the nuclear meltdowns, the cover-ups and everything else. And when I talk about dumping, it's absurd what we're talking about. And the nuclear weapons testing, you know, the French nuclear weapons testing in the French Polynesian islands and Niger and everywhere else was equal to a Nagasaki bomb a week going off for 12 years. United States nuclear testing was equal to a Nagasaki bomb a day for 12 years. The Soviet Union was around the same thing. Who knows what China and India and Pakistan, Israel, everybody else has released. The principal cause behind the starving whale is a culprit called climate change. No, it's not climate change. It's radioactive fallout that has broken the food chain. And now we're reaping what we sow. I showed you the French government study. Let me show you one more. This is Norwegian Institute, or this is Stanford University, based on 19.5 days, 468 hours. And they're based on a very tiny fraction of the emissions that actually came out of Japan. Just a fraction of a percent. You're never going to see this picture anywhere. How come? You're not going to see it at David Icke or anybody else. You're not going to see it in any alternative media. You're not going to see any bloggers or YouTube or anybody out there trying to educate you and inform you and get you up to speed. And that is a crime in its own, isn't it? And you're probably not seeing me out there because I got 13 viewers, 12 likes, 10 votes. I'm hated and feared and scorned, and I'm hunted, stalked by the nuclear industry for a long time now. That might sound conspiratorial to some people, but that's because you're refusing to be honest. With an alarming thinning of the ozone layer, which we knew happened post-Fukushima, copious amounts of solar radiation are blaring up and tearing through the atmosphere to assault the Arctic ice sheet. The ice sheet was covered in brutal radioactive fallout, like all the glaciers, And radioactive fallout doesn't allow the ice to crystallize. And we heated the planet up because we killed the bacteria and the fungus in the forest. The earth is soaking up the heat. Just like there's 20,000 journals. Ellsworth, Springer, and Wiley has 20,000 journals. There's 3.5 million academic, or 4.6 million academic studies produced every year by the taxpayers in Canada and the United States, not counting the rest of the planet. And so they produce so many fake studies, and I can show you a whole bunch if you like. With the whole industry and the universities, the journalists are just evil. It's evilness, what they're doing to us. And what the social engineering that they're perpetrating is crimes. These are crimes against humanity. And because there's no advocates out there to stand up for us, and since these whales are dependent on tiny creatures for nutrition, the vanishing foods leaving them famished on the edge of death. They're dependent on it for nutrition, but they can't uptake the nutrition because the bioaccumulates so much radiation. Is the reality, is what's going on. They have leukemias, they have cancers. Gray whale face a food shortage. This was the 19th of June, 2025, as the Arctic warms. It's not warming, it's boiling. Many animals are emaciated. Emaciated. Again, it's not just the gray whales. It's the furthest thing. It's every species of whales. Microscopic animals, which in turn are preferred prey of the gray whales, look like this. They're invertebrates without the backbones. They're very tiny ones on top of that, right? All aquatic environment, freshwater and saltwater. And same as the phytoplanktons, freshwater and saltwater. In turn, are preferred prey to gray whales. Their unique bottom-feeding behavior, which is very unique, isn't it? They roll onto their sides, they stir up the sediment, filter out the prey living within it. They're bottom feeders, so they're getting the worst radioactive poisoning imaginable because they're hitting the bioaccumulation. And like those invertebrates without the backbones, they eat the sewage of the ocean on the ocean floors, right? So the bioaccumulation is brutal. It's brutal. And so the gray whales have so much radiation. Most likely is they're not able to uptake nutrition. The species, there's still species out there. There's still microscopic animals out there. But the problem is the species have now been assaulted by radioactive fallout for so long. Japan was a pulse event with approximately 36 reactors melting down at the one time in a matter of 5 days. An unusually high number of emaciated animals. We've never seen it pre-Fukushima. It's not an unusual number because it never existed pre-Fukushima. It's a constant. All the whales, all the seabirds are showing up, if they show up at all, are emaciated. The whales we are seeing are extremely emaciated. They have bulging ribs with shoulder blades and vertebrae visible even from the shore. So even from the shoreline, you can see that they're clear. You can see the rib cage sticking out. We've never seen that pre-Fukushima, and we're seeing all the whales with that attribute. I know, I'm the bad guy. Shoot the fucking messenger, right? Poor condition is an indicator that the population remains food limited and is perhaps likely to continue declining. Poor condition is an indicator that the population remains food limited. Whoever wrote that sentence is a worthless human, man. Food limited. Bees are losing their pitch and their typical buzzing sound, and it's bad news for our planet. I never seen any bees anywhere I went today, and I was out in a provincial park, totally isolated. Nobody wanted to go on that road because it was 18 miles of washboard. Like, washboard is the most brutal dirt road you can get on. The road looks gorgeous. If it wasn't for the washboard, you can probably do 100 kilometers on the bloody thing. It was a perfect road, except everything was washboard for 18 kilometers. You're driving 10, 12 kilometers an hour, and that was hellish even at that. Literally rattle your brain, eh? Make you sick and nauseated. When I finally got back on the highway, I should have been home before dark, but because I took a shortcut that took twice as long as the long route would have took, The disruption in their buzzing frequencies could badly affect the pollinating services, which means disturbance in the flower production. It's just almost impossible to like a journalist anymore. It's just impossible. I can see the whole planet eventually will turn on every journalist on the planet, and every nuclear academic and every nuclear scientist is in for a rough ride in the very near future. I can tell you that much now. The truth is going to show up. I've made sure of it, and I'm going to continue. Their little antennas will shiver, emitting sounds of a buzz as it generates electricity. And while they produce these electric buzzes, their vibration enables the tiny hairs on their body to trap nectar from the flowers. They've got top-notch expertise in pollinating. No wonder all these bluebells, butterfly bushes, bee bombs, and buttercups hired them regularly for pollinating service. They didn't count on the nuclear industry showing up and poisoning and destroying everything with radioactive fallout and radioactive pollen. A new study presented by the Society of Experimental Biology reveals that lately these yellow and black creatures have been losing their buzzing frequency. Everything's due to climate change. Everything. Every species die off is climate change. It's climate change. Not diseases, not this, and not that. It's climate change. Everything. Everything's climate change. And climate change is tin cans, pop bottles, and cardboard. So you need to recycle everything. So there's no climate change. Climate change is due to 80 years of emissions from 1,000 fuel pools worldwide. I'm going to explain that after this story again, because it's important. While slurping the nectars from the petal cups, it contracts its flight muscles up to 400 times per second to produce buzzing vibrations, which eventually shake the pollen loose. The pollen in turn sticks to the tiny hairs on its body. If every bee on Earth vanished every night, but what if every bee vanished on... Well, we're almost there now. Without bees, over 1/3 of our crops could disappear. No apples, almonds, cucumbers, or coffees. Entire ecosystems would start to unravel. That's what we're seeing. I'm showing you a burning planet because being a scumbag is really easy, see? However, these days, as the sun's fury is baking up the planet a lot more than ever, it's not the sun that's baking up the planet, it's 80 years of emission from the nuclear industry is exterminating all the life on the planet. And we'll hopefully get the pictures of gannets from this month and the puffins in a little bit, if I don't forget about it. Don't worry, we got a lot of shows to get through yet. In the coming years, the cumulative effect could entirely put a stop to the... let me get that. To plant pollination. If this happens, it would be a disaster for all life on Earth. Nuclear is a disaster for all life on Earth. There's more like it. The insects are all disappearing. I've never seen a single insect on the windshield today at all. Nothing. I mean, it's still summer technically here, but yesterday was 6 degrees. Like just mad, but today was 24 Celsius, right? During the study, scientists evaluated a different range of factors that could be beyond the disruption in the bees' buzzing behaviors. Scientists evaluated differently. Two factors came to highlight were rising temperatures, which is all post-Fukushima especially, and exposure to heavy metals, which is radioactive fallout from nuclear industries. You have 1,000 fuel pools worldwide making plumes covering your planet all day, every day for 80 years. What do you think the ultimate outcome of that is going to be? Radioactive, every atom is 2 billion times more toxic than industrial poison. That's man-made, anthropogenic man-made radioactive fallout. The disturbed buzz could also be a marker of stress or environment changes. Well, they don't know, do they now? I've never seen any bees today, and we stopped in lots of places. He and his colleagues measured the frequency of their buzz in the Arctic and compared these readings with those received from the bees in the south. They were almost similar. It came as a surprise. It indicates that not climate change, but mussels could be the primary factor responsible for the changing pitch. This was a story from 2024. Killer whale calf found emaciated, struggling to breathe in the BC waters. The biologist recounts how the emaciated southern resident whale calf appeared to stop breathing. You can see the peanut head. So the calf is emaciated, lumpy and skinny, emaciated. It's emaciated because it's already born in a radioactive environment where the mother is already suffering from radiation poisoning. The baby has so much radiation they can't uptake nutrition. The mother is probably not producing the nutrients it needs. As the mother approached the boat, she supported the calf with her head. Researchers concerned after emaciated orca calf spotted off Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. Beach whale severely emaciated when it came. It was still alive when it came into shore. But when you're looking at that there, that's absurd. Hopefully we got better pictures. We do, actually. We'll get to that in a minute. The whale was still alive that morning. Yeah, so you can see it. This is severe emaciation we're talking about. It's deflated. But he forgot to bring his small lens with him, He just brought the long lens. Very sick. No. This was a whale that had starved to death. A juvenile sperm whale, no less. They're going to determine how the whale died. They're desperate to blame it on you. Whale was severely emaciated, but they got to figure out how it died, because being severely emaciated doesn't mean nothing anymore, even though, because every whale is severely emaciated. They're doing everything they can but tell you what's really going on. The ocean, post-Fukushima, we broke the food chain. The whale was still alive when it came ashore, and nobody knows how that managed to make it that far alive. But all the idiots will read the stories and blame it on your tin cans or pop bottles. The media will come out and blame it on that. It's beach whale euthanized after washing up on Hilton Head Island. Why couldn't it be saved? It couldn't be saved because it took maybe a year for it to get to that point. It's so emaciated, and it bioaccumulating radiation. Severely emaciated, likely drifted hundreds of miles. No, it came ashore alive. Didn't drift hundreds of miles. It came ashore alive. A minke whale that was found washed ashore at Sunset Beach on Cape May Point, according to Facebook. Scumbag Facebook. The whale was found to be over 17 feet long and emaciated. See, what a coincidence. Minke whales, sperm whales, killer whales, grey whales, all emaciated. Just a coincidence, you know? The coincidence is the nuclear industry still exists. Excuse me, my apologies. La 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 la. A bizarre sea lion avalanche captured on video. Oh, I got the video there. And you can see they're not very healthy, eh? I think it looks better in the video, we'll see. Eventually, all just started toppling onto each other and eventually into the harbor. Well, they don't belong there. They're only there because there's no food. If there was food, they wouldn't be there. And none of them looks healthy. I'm not sure if there's audio on this stuff or not. I turn everything down. We got 2 videos. I think I blew up one video and tried to get a shot of it. Get rid of that crappy. I just gotta fix this, just bear with me. Don't know what I'm looking at here. I had it working yesterday. I don't know, just give me a minute. Maybe I'll figure it out. I'm missing something. Oh yeah, there you go. So they're not healthy. They don't belong there, right? They belong where there's food. There's no food in that harbor, no food right there. So the reason they're there is there's something going on. They can't find food, and they're disconnected now from the ecosystem for so long. I just thought it was an interesting story. I think something spooked them. Yeah, no food. Oh, emaciated pygmy sperm whale. Yeah, the sperm whale's emaciated, the pygmy sperm whale emaciated, killer whale emaciated, gray whales are emaciated, mink whales are emaciated. You can see his rib cage. See his rib cage? Hang on, I'll fix it for you. Oh, maybe not. You see the peanut head, don't you? You see the shoulder blade sticking up. That's crazy. Severely emaciated. A pygmy sperm whale emaciated. Why is all the birds, seabirds, and whales emaciated? Because they're on a hunger strike? Is that it? Emaciated adult pygmy sperm whale. What's the story here? I'm sorry. Another whale washes ashore. Let's have a look at this guy. Well, he's pretty bad, but his spinal column is sticking up pretty rough. A pygmy sperm whale, deep diving species, eats squid, crabs, shrimp, and other creatures. That's not a pygmy sperm whale right there. Strange whale trend on the Aussie coast during migration, really different from last year. Really strange. Not only are the whales migrating earlier, this was August the 12th, so this was just a week and a half ago. Their behavior has changed and they even look different. So the migrating whales have completely changed. They're migrating earlier, their behaviors have changed, and they look different. Wow. That's an incredible story on its own, isn't it? something strange is happening along the coast. Well, all the 2,000 square mile reef is all bleached, not all, but 98% of it is bleached. There's only 2% that's still, that oasis is still 2% left. That'll be gone soon. The annual humpback whale migration has occurred, but the timing is out. The animals are behaving differently. Yeah, well, they're showing up emaciated everywhere. Let me explain that to you real quick. We'll find it right here somewhere. The stories are just crazy. That was humpback whales I'm talking about. Yeah. Right, there's two versions to it. Let me show you both of them. Because I'm that kind of a guy. I'm a good guy. I'll show you both versions of that story that I'm going to show you. The 7,000 whales were discovered missing, humpback whales. Right? But what they basically are saying that they starved to death. They're trying to blame it on this, blame it on that. The heat wave is not a heat wave per se as it is a radioactive plume. Japan covered the whole planet with it. So the 7,000 extra whales on top of the unusual mortality event are missing too. So you have an unusual mortality event since 2014 or something. And on top of that now we have an extra 7,000 discovered that were missing. So they're going away to doe birds over the next couple of years. 2 years probably they'll be gone. The gray whales will definitely be gone. There's 13,000 left, but they're all emaciated, so they'll be gone and they were emaciated last year. Had no surviving babies last year, so they'll be gone by next year, no longer than the year after. So the first part of 2027, it'll be official. They want to blame it on your tin cans and pop bottles, but it's not working. See, it doesn't add up. Animals are behaving differently. They look completely different. That's because they're all emaciated. White lines crisscrossing their backs. Here's a picture of it. Yeah, because they have radiation poisoning. They bioaccumulated so much radiation. And remember we talked about that back right in 2012, 13, 2014. There was speculation that by 2017 they would have at least 1,000 atoms per kilogram anthropogenic man-made radiation in killer whales, for instance, right? A dive tour operator saw an emaciated whale on the north coast of North-South Wales covered in sea lice, which is typical because they're not healthy. He suspects the unavailability of the right kinds of food. The unavailability, in other words, they're starving to death. What a worm to say unavailability of the right kind of food. If members of the public are lucky enough to see the whales from shore or go on a whale watching trips, they don't really see the difference between the years, like the people that are studying. We're doing daily observation from 130, 135 days throughout the season. We pick up on the trends, and this year is really different from last year. That's an incredible story, by the way. The whale migration has been shifting since monitoring began 13 years ago. Oh, the year after Fukushima, has it? Ain't that interesting? Total coincidence, I'm sure. 2024 is different again. Whales were first seen heading north into northern Australia, southern Queensland, 2 to 3 weeks later than usual. We're seeing the same thing with all the whales. Then they spend less time at the Great Barrier Reef because there's only 2% of the 2,000 square mile left, and began migrating south earlier because they had no food. Like, they've been doing that routine for millions of generations. The only reason they're moving on is because there's no food. They have no choice. They're starving to death. Why strange markings are appearing on the whales. Notice dozens of humpbacks were sporting what he describes really interesting skin color. Well, you can see that's got a sore up by his fin, for goodness sakes. Right? He's got open sores. And you can expect the nuclear industry to come out and say something stupid, and mock it, right? Make fun of it. Say something rude or ignorant. They do not look normal. Some have these openings that are all white and look gooey. That's called radiation poisoning, radiation sores. At the end of the season, we're seeing others with this condition where under the dorsal fin is a blood-red wound appears. Well, the ocean is not normal anymore, right? We've seen a lot of whales head up fresh water because the ocean is poison to them now. The skin is the mirror of the soul, and they might not have enough food. They might not have... No, they absolutely don't have enough food. That's a fact. Right? We can say that with certainty because just recently 7,000 of them, extra ones, on top of an unusual mortality event, had starved to death. And it's always back to the most stupidest narrative imaginable. He has also seen some whales undergoing intensive skin shedding. Big chunks of skin coming after, and it will be interesting to see how they recover. No, it won't. Last summer, Antarctica experienced a record summer heat level, and this could have triggered changes in behaviors, including lowering the number of calves born this year, and that resulted in less whales being close to shore. No, the whales are starving to death, all of them, and all species. And there's a very stark difference. It's the opposite of what we saw last year. Well, yeah, no, we're getting close to the end times. We're just a couple of years away from the end of humpbacks and gray whales in particular, and minke whales and sperm whales and quite a few other. Give it another 5 years and I'll be surprised if there's whales left anywhere. I'll be shocked, actually. There's a high number of calves that would die at sea and disappear, but we only see strandings in very rare occasions. The stranding numbers give us an indication something's going on. Extreme whale behavior is a sign of extreme environment. Yeah, you have no idea. Living in denial, right? Everything is more extreme, but that makes sense because the weather conditions and the food conditions have become just more unreliable post-Fukushima. Become more unreliable. The weather is unreliable, the food's unreliable. That's a bizarre statement to make it, to frame that narrative that way. They're trying to cope with those more extreme conditions along their 10,000 kilometer migration route. All right. Overwhelming discovery off Australian island. Never imagined this would happen. A team of researchers have discovered a glimmer of hope for the Great Barrier Reefs as they come to terms with a shocking demise over 30 years. Yes, since the nuclear industry started poisoning the ocean. But 90% of this is post-Fukushima. In the wake of the worst coral bleaching event ever recorded in the southern Great Barrier Reef, I've traveled to Hebron Island to continue research I started 30 years ago. This time the devastation was overwhelming. The once thriving ecosystem has been decimated by climate change. Everybody got to, that's their narrative. They don't get any funding if they don't scream climate change. With dead coral now overgrown by algae, it's never coming back. It takes hundreds of years for this coral to grow in the first place, right? These are trillions. Each of these little corals are trillions of microscopic animals. Recent aerial surveys by the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, I just hate those words. Every time you give these scumbags the word authority, you create a monster. Reveal ocean temperatures started increasing late last year. Now, we've been covering that for 4 or 5 years now. The Australian massive heat temperatures, right? Leading to the confirmation of the 5th mass bleaching event on the Great Barrier Reef by March 2024. We covered all of this. Post-Fukushima, we covered everything, actually. This event was the most extensive ever recorded, With almost half the reef experience record levels of heat stress. It's not heat stress, you have a dead ocean. The ocean no longer is producing oxygen. By the way, the oceans are producing over 50% of the oxygen for the entire planet. Eventually that shows up with us. You're going to see just massive road rage, massive air rage, massive criminal, stupid crimes, like stupid crimes. Because they have a lack of oxygen. They're going to operate like they're drunk. We were at ground zero finding that most coral in the upper reef slopes are dead, already overgrown with dark brown algae that made the scene eerily apocalyptic. It is not. It's 100% an apocalyptic event. That's what Japan's pulse event of 36 reactors melting down to one time in 8 fuel pools is. Corals were not just bleached, they were dead. In the lagoons, in the reef crest, large areas were also dead. Spiking whale death in San Francisco has marine biologists worried. So you're only going to get the narrative from the mouthpieces, which is a worthless. And look how just the denigrating of the whale this was. It's just melted. This is not something that died months ago. This is something that died recently, and it was just melted. May, when 5 whales were found dead in just 1 week. The majority of them, 21, have been gray whales. 2 baleen whales, 1 mink whale have also died. Many of these whales were killed by boat strikes as the whales were migrating, scientists say. Gray whales particularly migrate through the region. They never go into San Francisco pre-Fukushima. And when you show up in there, they're already emaciated. San Francisco Bay is full of ships, so they're going to get hit because they can't get out of the way. They're too weak. They're too emaciated, and they're dying there. They're dying all along your coastlines. And the ones you're finding is just a fraction of what's dying. To reach the Arctic feeding water, well, they came from there last year. They were emaciated when they left. They were emaciated when they got to the Baja, California, or Baja, New Mexico. And they're emaciated now, they're running north. So they're so emaciated, you can see their rib cages, their vertebrae, the peanut heads, their shoulder bones sticking out. You really think they're going to be here next year? You really think they're going to survive another year? What are they going to survive on? They got no food. They got no way of replenishing their blubber. If they had perfect feeding conditions, they still wouldn't be able to recover. What we're finding is a fraction of what actually dies. And we know that because 14,000 have died that they acknowledge post-Fukushima, which means we're only finding a fraction, right? 2024 increase in migrating whales. Well, at least 8 of the gray whales were probably, which is a hyperbole, which is a conjecture, it's an opinion, probably killed by vessel strikes. The cause of the others were uncertain. Well, it wasn't, was it? They were emaciated, and we showed those pictures and we ran those stories. And shame on you for lying. Shame on you for covering up for the nuclear industry. Shame on you for refusing to be a human. Shame on you for turning your back on our planet. Shame on you. Terrible guy. Nearly 20 dead seals found along Finland's south coast. No indication the seals were deliberately killed. It almost makes you puke when you read this stuff, doesn't it? That was a file photo. That's got nothing to do with it. In your career, I don't recall a similar case, said the veterinarian. No external indicators, no discoloration or wounds. They could shed light on the cause of death. And when she shows a recent picture instead of a foil picture, a serious disease outbreak such as avian influenza. Avian influenza never jumped for millions of generations. It's never jumped to any other species. It's never done it. So why would it do it now post-Fukushima? However, no cases of bird flu, a large number of dead birds have been observed in that area this summer. What a worthless person to invoke that when it never even happened during that year. Why even bring that up? The worst case scenario. Really, starvation is not the worst case scenario. It has to be, it's got to be something the government is willing to publish, or there can't be any speculation. There can't be any independent. Justice sought for 2 environmental defenders killed in Davao Oriental. It's the Philippines, I think it is. Don't quote me right away here. Yeah, it's the Philippines, that's right. 2 environmentalists were killed. Only a matter of time for it to kill me, I'm pretty sure. Bless their hearts. I'm not going to butcher their names publicly, but you see them. Shot multiple times by a lone gunman while sitting at a table near a vendors association area along the national highway. That's what the industry does, right? They'll just kill everything on the planet, and then if you talk about it, they'll kill you to get rid of you, so that, because the truth is evil, right? You're not allowed to tell the truth. Describing the victims as barefoot lawyers who stood for land rights and environmental protections. Our heart goes out to their loved ones. These were defenders of life, land, and dignity. Barefoot, they couldn't even afford shoes, but they're out there fighting for your freedoms and your liberties and your future and your children's. So bless their hearts. It is maddening and heartbreaking that those who dream for others are often the first to be taken away. What a horrible way to go, too. A disturbing pattern of violence against environmental defenders in the Philippines. Frantic fight to save a beach dolphin ends in a tragic scene. This is in Australia, scumbag Australia. Australia is just brutal, man. You can't glean anything from that picture, unfortunately. Goodbye to the reefs. This toxic algae is spreading unchecked, destroying corals and turning the oceans into underwater deserts. Well, that happened just within 2 years of Fukushima. The toxic algae blooms are because we destroyed the pH level of the ocean with the radioactive fallout, right? Very toxic, by the way, is devastating the biodiversity in southern Australia and creating what scientists are already describing as an underwater desert. An invasive algae that turns more, and what year was, what's the date on this? That's 31st of July. So that's just about 4 weeks ago. An invasive algae has turned 4,500 square kilometers of marine ecosystem into areas completely void of life. Now, we know we've been covering these reefs for the last number of years. This is not what caused it. The reefs were already devoid of life over the last couple of years. Emerged due to marine heat wave. So now we believe in climate change, right? Marine heat wave. It's the radioactive plume from Japan. It just destroys everything it comes in contact with. Blocks sunlight, generates hypoxia, destroys the gills of the fish, the mollusks, and suffocating marine animals. Entire ecosystems wiped out. Scott Bennett, one of the first to study that, one of the first ones to come up with that new narrative, try to blame all the die-offs on that. It's already been going on for quite a few years. You can't just rewrite history like this and expect us to accept that. 100% of the razor clams were dead and rotting on the seafloor. With 70% of the endemic species, which means their disappearance is permanent and there's no turning back. Endemic means they're unique to that area. A local fisherman says he hasn't been able to catch a single squid since April. Yeah, that started happening off California in 2014 and 15. The economic damage is estimated at 400 million Australian dollars just for that area. A third of the state waters are empty of life. A third. And they're never coming back. What caused this deadly bloom was Japan's radioactive fallout destroyed the ability of the ocean to function normal. If you want to understand why that happened, I go backwards. You want to understand that story there, or any other story, you got to ask yourself, why is all the mainstream media pretending they're on top of Fukushima Reactor 4? Why are they pretending Fukushima Reactor 4 doesn't look like the picture to your left? Why is mainstream media, and these are just the journalists, some of the journalists for them, but why is all the universities and all the medias worldwide pretending the Reactor 4 didn't melt down? Why are they doing that? What's to be gained by that? So you don't blame the nuclear industry. Breeding event known as Cuttlefest takes place in waters of Point Lowy this year, but scientists warn the effects of the toxic algae could be catastrophic. The toxic algae. So the cuttlefish all go, not all of them, but this particular group, they all breed in this one area. And that area has been wiped out. The state's toxic algae bloom could be catastrophic for the globally unique natural phenomenon. The globally unique natural phenomenon. It's the only population of giant Australian cuttlefish and the only population of cuttlefish worldwide to come together and breed in their tens of thousands and formed a spectacular natural wonder. I have thousands and thousands of hours underwater as a commercial diver myself. I'm very familiar with that environment, trust me. Options include looking at the feasibility of collecting an insurance population of cuttlefish eggs, something that has never been tried. Where are you going to breed them to? You can't release them back into the environment because they're just going to die. We have killed our planet. Thousands of giant cuttlefish, some measuring up to 50 centimeters. They're big boys. You got all the other species showing up dead at the same time on the shorelines, not just the cuttlefish. What to do when wasps crash your picnic? A scientist's guide to dining safely with these insects. I put that story there because say, like, you know how some people will have barbecues and they have hot dogs and hamburgers, right? Bees are very attracted to the meat, or the wasp are. So what you got to do is, you know they're going to keep coming back to that where that meat is to. So just take a piece and put it there and tear it up, and they'll come back and eat that and move your food to the other side of the table. They basically will leave you alone. They'll come back to that same spot over and over once they establish that spot. So just leave a bit of food there, particularly the meat, and they'll just keep coming back there. With unsustainable wildlife loss across the planet, so this is symmetrical worldwide, we're seeing the species die off post-Fukushima, accelerate every year post-Fukushima. We need to learn to live alongside all organisms, even wasps. They're important pollinators. Well, they're going to go the way of the dodo bird too. Wasp larvae like meat, so together workers rear thousands of larvae. If your wasp wants ham or some other protein source at your picnic, you know her colony is full of hungry larvae. And enjoy the knowledge that you're helping feed armies of tiny pest controllers who will soon set to work regulating populations of flies, caterpillars, and anything they can kill, and spiders. You don't worry about fighting spiders out in the woods anymore. They're gone. Mowi Canada reports thousands of salmon dead at Newfoundland fish farms. Translating to about 17,000 fish had died, 10% of the fish. Round Counter East. We used to go to this ghost town, Round Counter West. There's about 200 houses. They built a government wharf there so they could move people out. And you go in, there's all these houses and roads and school and church, and all the infrastructure is right there, right? Increased water temperatures associated with decreased oxygen level in the Atlantic Ocean. We're talking about the Atlantic Ocean. So when you're talking about the Atlantic Ocean has no oxygen levels, you're talking about the most oxygenated ocean on the entire planet. Right? Do you get it? Tell me about the most oxygenated planet on the entire planet. Oh, you got me there. Let me fix this. The most oxygenated planet on oxygen on the entire planet. Keep this going here. Oh, I see what I got done. My apologies. 2 more mass salmon die-offs reported in the South Coast, 60,000 fish. This is the most oxygenated water imaginable, is the cold Atlantic, right? So why are they dying of hypoxia? Because Japan has killed the ecosystem. It's 80 years of emissions from the nuclear industry, but you're also talking about a catastrophic amount of a pulse event, right? CLSS seeks info on troubling fish die-offs. The Columbia Lake Stewardship Society wants to get to the bottom of troubling fish die-off in the popular lake. Milner isn't a fish expert, but was able to clearly tell that the dead creatures were not just one type, but rather a mix of different fish species. Columbia Lake, I forget where that's to now, because when was this story again? July the 31st this year, so this was just not quite 4 weeks ago. It was the whole water body itself. It wasn't just like areas or something. In fact, quite literally, the highest temperatures recorded since they started taking data in 2014. Oh, these were, I was looking for fish kills. Lakes really heat up. Oxygen levels drop catastrophically. But this is cold water, this place. Fisheries and Oceans Canada investigate fish die-off in Equillook shores. Believe the fish likely became trapped in low tide. Yeah, that can happen. So it's seawater we're talking about. Hundreds of fish were seen belly up in the port. I think this is the Northwest Territory. Don't quote me off the top of my head. Another, or it could be Labrador. Another possibility is high sea surface temperatures. So they don't know. Oh yeah, so this is up by Labrador. Up in, what's the name of the sea up there again? I don't know, can't remember. That's way up there though, that's cold ocean. That's seriously cold ocean. There should be no lack of oxygen in that part, right? That should be beautiful oxygen, right? You're right up by the ice. It's all ice up there. It's an insane amount of ice we're talking about up there, right? Just bear with me. Slowly getting there. Just bear with me, I'm almost there. How we doing anyway? We're doing pretty good. Let me delete everything we've already covered, because if I triple click something, we're going to lose our spot, and it could take me quite a while to find my way back. We covered quite a bit there tonight, haven't we? Let's get over to some pictures, actually. Let's start looking at some more puffins, and just get rid of all of that. I get back down on my spot here, right there. Over here, is nuclear power just another word for an extinction level event? Really, that's all I got is 16 viewers tonight, 17 likes, 16 votes. Oh, we're making fun of nuclear power, so therefore I'm not allowed to have any views. I'm not a human according to the IAEA. They're allowed to do whatever they want. I'm not a human. I stopped being a human because we're talking about nuclear, so we're no longer considered humans. We no longer have any freedom or liberties. Nuclear industry takes precedence over everybody in every species, right? So these are gannets, and you can see the babies, how they stand out. They're like it looks like they got, and there's quite a few babies. We don't know how that's going to play out. The official numbers probably won't come out for another month of how many was there and how many babies actually made it to the actual fly. And so I got a tendency to take 3 or 4 pictures in the same spot and hope that if I screw up or the camera's shaky, we'll still get a decent picture. And we're also looking for dead, when we're scanning this, we're looking for dead gannets, babies. I don't know if that's one right there, probably not, but could be. They're there's a baby right there that looks dead. And this one down here, he's down, he could be dead. This one is healthy. And you can see what a healthy baby looks like. Clearly that one right there is not alive, right? And there's another dead one right there, belly up. And another one right oh, that's the same one there. That one's okay. So there's a couple of dead ones just in that little area, eh? Wow. There's definitely one right there. And I'm assuming that's one right there, eh? And right there in the right here. I'm assuming that's one right there. And we see healthies. Let's look at another section here. We'll buzz around here. These were taken about, now that one there's not looking very healthy at all, is it? And he's got the wing of another one, or the back part of another one, so that's, like that one here is not healthy. I could be wrong, but it looks like a dead one right here. And we're just looking, right? We're looking for anything that stands out, that doesn't look right, then we can zoom in, hopefully. Generally, I thought they looked pretty good to me. Pretty good. You know, you expect some did, right? For sure. These are deep. What they do is they'll stay at 1,000 feet, and when you see fish coming to the surface, whether they're being chased up by tunas or whales, or they're just naturally coming up, then they'll tuck their wings in, the gannets. These are the Atlantic gannets. And they've been coming here for millions of generations, for over 1 million generations most likely. And raising their fledglings. This is a unique place that they got there to do it. So we already scanned that whole area. So we're looking for anything that stands out that doesn't look right. Everything's looking pretty good. And with the gannets, the babies are easy to spot, right? They're big and fluffy, and they're cute as anything. And they're supposed to be active, right? They're getting big now. Well, they're not getting big; they're huge. They're getting rid of their baby protective coatings. Let's find another section here to look at. Because I'll focus in on an area and just take a shitload of pictures sometimes. If I think I see something, that way I can zoom in later and hopefully spot something, right? So they got lots of babies. Looks great, eh? But ultimately, this is the only thing you can do. You have to zoom in on everything. Right? That's that same dead. That's a dead one right there. You expect some to die. And they're very successful. They're successful like the cormorants, but the cormorants don't belong down here. But we're seeing, because they can dive quite a way. But on the flip side, we're seeing the common murres, which are deep divers. They'll dive 600 feet all day. They're not succeeding, right? They're not coming back. That baby there doesn't look too healthy. I don't know if he's alive or dead, but... And the one behind him is upside down on his back, has his feet sticking up. So the one behind him is dead. That baby's alive. He looks fine. The one on the cliff there is fine. That next one is fine. There's no baby in his nest. Looks like there's a puffin right there nesting. And like these are, the mother birds are driven on instinct, right? The mother birds are totally driven on instinct. She looks like a good survival rate right there. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. What's going on here? We're at 19. Sometimes that's the way it plays out, right? He's got his head hung down. I don't know about that guy. Is that his feet sticking up? Probably not. I think that's just color. He's 50-50. He's either 50% chance he was dead or 50% chance he's alive. And so what we do ultimately is I have to go through, take a grid of these pictures. Because I remember, like, there's a sequence when I'm taking my pictures, so I can cover the territory, the whole rocks. And there's three big nesting areas that are there, and there could be 20,000 birds there. There's 46 million missing seabirds, migratory seabirds, and so whatever we can find, we need to study. We are at 1999, so let's hit 2000. We're at 2000. Okay, so let's go look at the puffin pictures. And this is the third video we've done this. The puffin pictures were at 822. I think it was 1,300 pictures or something for the puffins. We see no fledglings known as pufflings whatsoever. Now it's true they do keep them in the burrows, but once they get to a certain size, right, where they can get up and walk around, they'll come out and walk around, right? And we're not seeing. We know the colonies failed in 2022 and 2023, where the babies weren't surviving whatsoever. And they relayed their eggs in the fall, which the so-called watchers, the agencies that were studying them regularly, said they've never seen that in history ever. That was the first for them. And we know that and just let me go backwards and we'll come back to those in a second here. We'll come back to it in a second. Let me come back to here. Let me get this brought up first. Okay. Just let me find. There was an interesting story from 2015, 2016. Of puffins. I'll find it and I'll explain why it's so interesting to you. Just bear with me. Yeah, 2016. Here we go. I got it. So this will give you some pretty interesting. I screwed that up, did I? Yeah, I screwed that up. Hang on. Yeah, 18 miles on a washboard road. My goodness, that was brutal. My brain is still rattled, from that experience. It was worth it because puffins are starving to death in incredible numbers. This is 2016, November the 10th. Dead puffins are washing up on shores of the island in the Bering Sea. In 10 years of monitoring, we only seen 6 puffins washed in total. So in 10 years, they only seen 6 dead puffins. In just shy of 3 weeks, they've seen 250. To the point that half the puffin population in the North Pacific may be dead. So finding 250 dead puffins, they were able to extrapolate that half the population must have died. In 2015 and 16, there was over 1 million common murres showed up, severely emaciated. So what does that mean, I wonder? And that at the same time, there was 1.4 million Cassini auklets. The common murres, over 1 million of them, at the same time, can dive 600 feet all day. They feed on anchovies and squid and sardines and krill and small animals, small fish about this long. The Cassini auklets are microscopic eaters. They eat the zooplankton, the phytoplankton, small copepods and everything else. Very small animals, microscopic animals. So 2 different spectrums of the food chain showing up, emaciated at the same time, and 250 puffins to the point where they made the assertion, because they've never seen anything like it, in a 3-week period, therefore half the population must have died. And they died of starvation, just like all the whales and all the other birds and mammals and animals. Okay, let's come back to the puffins. Where the hell am I? There we go. So here we go to the puffins again. Now, what we're looking for is a bird like that that's coming in for a landing. Now, I don't know if those birds in particular just came in for a landing or not. But we'll soon be able to spot that again. We don't see any fledglings whatsoever. No sign of them. And they should be out wandering around, some of them, right? They're big enough to be out wandering around. And the fact that we can't see any of them, and just a very tiny, out of all the ones we looked at in the last two shows, because you see up in the corner up there, there's a bird coming in for a landing, right? So, or maybe he's taken off, but when a bird's coming in for a landing, we'll spot him, and then we'll see if he's got fish in his mouth. That's what we're up to. Now, normally the seagulls will bully the puffins to steal their fish. They'll come in with 4, 5, 6 sardines or capelin or whatever in their beak. They hold them in their beaks, so the beaks are very bright orange. And so it's really easy because they'll keep it in their beak. You see the head and the tail sticking out of their mouth, right? So it's quite easy to spot them when they're coming in for a landing. So we're looking for anything that stands out because we're not seeing any fledglings. And I don't know if that one just came in or not, but he's back onto us, so we can't tell. In a minute, we'll see a few birds flying, coming in for a landing, and we'll zoom in. There's one right there. Yeah, I think he is. There's nothing in his mouth, but let's back up for 1 second. Yeah, he's coming in for a landing, I think. I can't, no, maybe he's just moving around a bit. It's hard to say. He's moving, he moved quite a bit. So we're looking for birds, any birds that are coming in. That's the right, like that encounter there, if that was a puffin landing, he's got food in his mouth. That seagull is going to try to steal the food for his baby, see? But he's hanging out around the nest here, so let's have a quick look at this guy. What's he doing? He's got his head right down in the nest. So he's looking for babies to steal. That's what he's up to. And it looks like this puffin got a branch in his mouth of some type, right? It's not a fish. He's raised. I just want to see if the seagull got a fledgling when he's pulling his head back up. If he tilts his head way back, we're not able to say for sure. But we would see signs of it, see? Now he's got his head up. The other puffin now is kind of getting in his face. Clearly he's got a stick in his mouth. That's her nest, I would imagine. Now both of them got their wings up. The seagull got his wings up. His head is now behind the puffin's head. Is he going to grab that puffin? I don't know what's going on. But it definitely looks like there's a confrontation between those. Yeah, he's got the puffin. He just grabbed that puffin, eh? Right, you can see the black feathers up there? He's going to kill that puffin. Or he's trying to steal the food. It's hard to say right here what's going on. Yeah, he's got the puffin by the head. Look at that. So he's got a puffin in his mouth. At the same time, we got a couple of birds up here we want to look at. He's got no food in his mouth. We're going to come back to that other puffin in a second and see how that plays out. That's up there is a young seagull. That's a baby seagull, fledgling. And let's come back down to this guy. Yeah, he's got the puffin upside down. And he's got the head in his mouth, right? He's still got the head in his mouth. Is he going to swallow him right there for us? Did I take lots of pictures, I wonder? That's nasty. Well, he's got the puffin by the head. He's going to try to swallow him, if that's what he's got done there. That's some crazy pictures. We're at 8:53, so I can extrapolate that later and study it. He's trying to kill it. So normally what they'll do is they'll hurt that puffin, and then they'll start pecking his head. They'll break his head or something with the seagull's beach. But yeah, he's preying on the puffin. He's still got the puffin's head in his mouth. And I don't realize it when I'm taking pictures, right? But it's pretty insane that I got those particular pictures. Notice how he's got his head contorted? He's still got the puffin by the head. So the idea is to pick it up and then eat it alive, whole, just like it is. That's what he's up to. He's not in a fist fight. That's supper. The only reason he's doing that is because he's starving, right? The only reason he's not trying to take, because puffin would have the food in his beak, and so generally you will see him steal the food. It's usually at the ocean surface, though, you would see that particular attribute. So that's it. I guess we're not going to get another picture. Just this one more picture. But the puffin has no way of defending against the seagull. That's 100% what he's up to. And we're not going to be able to see any more than we already see now because I'm moving the camera to my left, right? So let me go back because I wasn't looking around for anything else. Yeah, he swung the birds. You can actually see what he done, right? I'm just looking for the other species now. I just want to go back to those pictures because I was focused in on the seagull grabbing the puffin. And so just before he grabs the puffin, here's the final picture we got before he grabbed that puffin. That puffin was there. The seagull had his head down in the nest. It looked like the puffin had a piece of wood in his mouth, like a branch or something that he was bringing back to the nest. I don't know. I don't know. I don't speak Puffinese very good personally, but this is what I was looking for. The other birds are coming in for a landing. You got that one up there. He might actually have food in his beak. It's hard to say. The one behind him has no food. He's coming in for a landing. So we're going to ignore the seagull. We already watched all of that. We see this one now. He's coming in for a landing. We might get a better look now. There's no food in his beak. I got to go backwards for 1 second. Maybe we got a better shot. Yeah, he's got no food. He's got no food and coming in for a landing. The seagull now is got a really good grip on the head of the puffin, and his intention is to eat that poor puffin. You bastard, let him go. Oh. I'm very, like any birds that are trying to land, we're just trying to glean whether they got food in their mouth. And the seagull, meanwhile, is right here, right there. All the other puffins are afraid to look at him. They want to be next, I guess. They should gang up on that dirty old seagull, but nature is the cruelest. You can't get any crueler than Mother Nature. But that puffin just met his maker. That seagull would have ate him whole. Sometimes they'll peck their heads before they eat them, right? They'll kill them. It's pretty crazy what a seagull can do to one of these birds. So they're cannibalizing the puffins. Let's check for any fledglings down this side. We're not seeing any fledglings, right? So in this series we have around 1,350 pictures, I think the numbers are. I'm a lot better at taking pictures of rocks than I am getting pictures of birds, though, I notice. We don't see any fledglings. And most likely this bird ate quite a few baby The seagull would go for the babies if they can get them. They're not bring. We don't see them really bringing many. Now, I never seen, when I was taking those pictures, I didn't see the seagull grabbing the puffin, so that was just pure bad luck that I got that picture. Nobody wants to see that happening to a poor, cute little puffin. It wouldn't hurt a fly. I don't trust that gull now. Now I'm worried about this gull here. He looks pretty shady. He's got tattoos. Look at that. He's a tough guy. Oh, here's a puffin coming in for a pitch. We're not seeing any. If you can see all the orange beak, it means she doesn't have any food. Where did he go? Not over there. Or did he land right there? I don't know. Let's go backwards one more time. Oh, he's flying. He's flying. There's a kittiwake in here. I don't see any fledglings for the kittiwake. So I don't know where that puffin went. Right, because he was flying. He must have flown right past. He must have been going over there somewhere. Let's keep rolling. A little bit stressed out after seeing that big bully seagull wrecking that poor little cute puffin. Okay. He's coming in for a landing. I don't know where he went though. Let me try to zoom in a bit slower here. Let me go back. Looks like he's coming in that direction. Like he's going to land up here somewhere. So let's see if we can spot him. I don't see. Oh, there he is over here. See him? He's up right here, right? He's coming in for a landing. Okay, so he's up there. We'll check the next picture up there. Can't see nothing yet. There's another one down here by the looks of it. This guy here, we can check him too. We still can't see that guy. It's amazing how good those cameras are though, eh? There was one coming in down here. I lost track of where he was. I go back. Oh, he's right here. Right? He's down here, so let's keep an eye on that spot. I got no idea where he went. I don't see him. Is that him up there landing, I wonder? Right there? Let me go backwards. Yeah, there's no bird there, and then he's there. Right there in that spot. He just landed there, so that's him. I don't see anything, any food in his beak. It would stand out. I don't like this shady character here. Seagulls are the cockroach of the planet, right? So that other one that was flying is up here. We still haven't got a clean shot of him yet. He's the only bird there in that shot. Oh, no, not really, I guess. Might get a shot here in once. He's up there behind. I'm not going to see where he lands, I don't think. We got one more chance. I don't think we're going to get to see it, no. No, we're not going to get to see it. Oh, there's another one flying in. I don't see anything in his beak. I don't like that seagull. You leave him alone. Look at him. You tell me that's not shady looking. Did he just land? Let me go back. No. He's taken off, I think, that guy. So we're looking for anything that stands out. Did he land? Right, like you see this one back here with his wings up. Did he just land? Yeah, there's nothing there. Because they can come in pretty quick and land, right? And then he's right there all of a sudden, the next picture. Right, so maybe he just landed, I don't know. So it's pretty suspect. Let me see if I can spot him coming in. He should be up here somewhere because of the way that his stance is. He's facing that way. So I don't know. I definitely got no food with him. You see he's beat quite fine. I don't like that seagull. He's got bad intentions, that feller. There's another one coming in for a landing right here. We'll keep an eye up there on that guy too. Probably not going to get another shot of him. See that seagull right there? He's got his head down. Something. See that young one there? He's going to be a predator too. Even though he's young, he's still quite capable. So this seagull here, he's moving quite fast, eh? He's looking for food. There's two young gulls right there. I'm not seeing anything moving besides those guys. I'm coming back. We might get another picture of that. We might get. I don't know what that is right there. This one right here. Is that a dead baby gull or something? Let's zoom in on that one more time here. Can we see any legs or heads or anything like that? Can we? Yeah, that's a dead. That's a dead. We can zoom in again. Remember, this is my first time going through all these pictures, right? I'm assuming that's a dead bird right there. Now we got a better look at that seagull up there. He doesn't got anything in his beak. We're kind of heading back towards where we've seen the seagull getting ready to eat a puffin. So if they're eating puffins, then there's no food coming back, or he would just steal it, right? What the hell am I got done here? Because when I'm zooming in, I gotta click multiple times, and so I must have clicked on an opera down there or something to make that happen. That seagull, he's on the prowl, eh? Maybe we got a cleaner shot right now of this guy. I don't know if that's a baby or not. Seagulls would have ate him if he was dead. He wouldn't last too long. Did he just land? I think so, okay. And I know that probably drives people crazy, but that's how you do it. You gotta move. I apologize. Oh, he's coming in for landing. He's got nothing in his beak. And he's coming in for a landing too. But he's got nothing in his beak, we can tell that. We know the seagulls like to steal their food. There's another one up there. How many did we see with food in their beak? 3 or 4, was it, over the last 2 shows, and this show included? Maybe 3 or 4, right? We're looking at anything that's coming in, that theoretically is coming in for a landing. Right, there's one coming in for a landing right over here somewhere. And you see the young gulls there with their heads towards the nest. I think what's going on is there is no babies, so they're cannibalizing. See, hang on here. There is one coming in for a landing. There's some. We've just seen one coming in for a landing right there, I think. Yeah, he's coming in for a landing. You can see his beak. And I'm going to say he's got nothing. Oh. I'll keep going until I hit 1,000. We're getting up there anyway, so. No fledglings. All we seen was a adult seagull. Feeding, by the looks of it, on a puffin. Because, like I said, the puffin will have the fish in their mouth. So if you were trying to steal a fish, you would have seen the fish in the picture, right? He wasn't trying to do that. He had it by the head, which means he was getting ready to eat the poor little bugger. He's coming in for a landing. He's got no food in his mouth. I think he's coming in for a landing, or he's taking off. Looks like he's coming in for a landing. We'll see in a second. Yeah, he's coming in for a landing. And they mate for life, right? Puffins do. And so right, the pair will be there. One's guarding the chick, the other one's out getting food, I would assume. I seen one flying there, but he's... You can see one right there, circling around for a landing. You're just trying to get a little glimpse of his beak. We're not getting that. But he's coming in. Can't tell. This cute little feller's not very far away from me, is he? Oh, he's got two different colored feet. He's a mutant. He's returning, but you can see his whole beak, so it's safe to say he had no food in his beak. And three of them right in front of me at one time. Clearly, these are really close. When you see stuff, pictures like that, it's because they're typically within 10 feet of me. There wasn't very many of them done, so I tried to get a perfect shot. And they look healthy. I'm not seeing anything that's like any skin patches or anything like that. I'm not seeing anything that would say, well, he's not healthy. He looks really healthy to me. He's got such a beautiful beak, eh? Look at him. A stud, that guy. Look at him. He footloose and fancy free. He's like, I'm the shit, guys. Look at me. Yeah, I was painfully aware of no insects today. I was painfully aware of no migratory birds. And there was quite a lot of lakes I seen today, and we never seen a fish jumping or any birds in any of the lakes. Leap of fate. Uh, 984. We'll do another 15 pictures. Then we'll come back. We're almost finished for the night anyway. I'm exhausted now. It's a long day. We still got a showing though. And this was another colony. I think there was 3. It could be more. I'll have to go through the entirety. But there was 3 islands that looked like they were full of puffins. So 4. If you call them 2 islands, I'm assuming that's 4 islands. So there could have been 15,000 puffins there, which sounds like a lot, but there's 46 million birds missing. 6.6 million storm petrels are missing off of Baccaloo Island alone, the biggest migratory gathering of storm petrels on the planet. They're microscopic and they're nocturnal. You won't see them typically, but you will hear about it. And we've never heard. I've been out there in nighttime, just after midnight, looking. And there's a lot of birds on the move at one time, eh? Are these all puffins? There's seagulls mixed in with it. There's a lot of puffins out there. It's a long way away, but we can say with certainty that that's a puffin colony. And we can say with certainty that this is a puffin colony too, right? And you can't access those areas without a boat. We are seeing the kittiwakes. That's a kittiwake there. I don't see any babies. There's a kittiwake there. I don't see any babies. They'll stand out, right? And they like isolated cliffs. And so I knew I wouldn't get much useful pictures out of this because they're so far away. But we are able to quantify that they are puffin colonies. And so that adds to the total numbers, right? And there's a lot of them on shore. And there's not that many in the water. There's some don't, but you expect a lot more, right? Not bad. There's a lot of them in the water, but they're not diving, so that's not a good sign. So yeah, this is how close you can get to them, right? You're very close to the colonies. Puffins are starving to death from 2016 on. We're seeing that over and over and over. Puffins are starving to death. That's the consensus now. Bear with me. Yeah. Okay, we got... okay, I got a good handle on that now, I think. Is nuclear power just another word for an extinction level event? You gotta give me a break sometimes. Like I've been on the road all night, all evening tonight, and then I get in the door. And I got 10 minutes before my show typically starts, and so by the time I does the preamble, gets that posted, I didn't have anything to eat since this morning. Since breakfast before I left, or this morning rather. I never left till a little later in the day. So we'll pick up there tomorrow night, I guess. That's the best thing I can say, right? All right, let me see what we got here. That's the show, I guess, tonight. I'm going to play that other song that James has out there. I get that some airtime. That never got many views, and so... And, no abnormalities detected. That's the first song we played tonight. It was really good, eh? That's really good. 4 views. I feel bad for James sometimes, man. He puts all that work in. He's lucky to get 20, 30 views. I don't know how he does it. That radioactive shrimp, I love that video. The strandings of the flirt, that's an incredible video. They're still lying to you about nuclear. Maybe I'll play that one. I love that one too, the stranding of the flirt. I love all of them, but like a lot of people like different genres. We still haven't got to that one there yet, which deserves to be got to. The Vienna Protocol, the Atomic Thugs. She kissed a dry cast. That was hilarious. That was really appropriate. He was talking about Isodope, who married a billionaire of all things. Who would have seen that coming? And she's an influence. Of course she is. She's married to a billionaire. I can't believe a billionaire married her. To tell you the truth, she's such a rotten person. It's hard to appreciate how much work he puts into each of these videos. So, the nuclear buck stops here. Radioactive Banana Republic. And then he's producing all the videos too, right? Which is absurd. I'm going to put They're Still Lying to You About Nuclear. That's the closing song tonight. Wimp. Dana the Wimp. Well, we made it. Yeah, we're over 2 hours. Still got a 2-hour show, and that's a win. I'm censored like I don't even exist. Somebody gave me a like twice and took it away. That's normal for Dana. So you still got a few minutes. Is nuclear power just another word for an extinction level event? So if you haven't voted on the poll, go ahead and vote on the poll. That'll be gone in 3 or 4 minutes. And if you make it this far and you're watching this video tonight or tomorrow or the next day, don't forget to give us a share, give us a like. I don't care if you subscribe, but as long as you give us a share or like or whatever, it helps. We appreciate it. Have a great night. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.
He chewing on that metal, says it don't do harm. Plutonium in his pocket, like it's a lucky charm. But talk don't kill what's crawling, and them atoms at your bones. Said the dead don't count. Yeah, said the dead don't count. Ain't gone by morning. They cross your name out. on the table. Talk about Denver sky, but Curium run that river. Don't look, don't lie. They still lie to you with a smile full of steam. They still lie to you, but the ground still screams. Shrink the core to trick you. Call it safe, call it trim, but the case still got teeth, and they chew your limb. They still lie to you. Same tongue, new crime. They still lie to you. And that core keep time.